alright. We got to brave the weather through all of the storms.
It's AFA Today on AFR Talk, and we're coming to you live from New York, per usual, in our AFA Today studios. But we are also going to have a report in our next segment from Miss Lila Rose, who happens to be on the March for Life trail today and has generously agreed to share some of her time telling us what it's like there on the March for Life. I am, as you could tell in the last segment, I'm a little bit embittered, a little bit hardened, a little bit, put out with the news industry, the media complex that is the series of networks and companies that tell us what we're supposed to know each day. Mostly just because I'm tired of them having the only avenue by which this stuff gets said. I think that there's room for a lot more voices in the conversation, and that's what I'm committed to helping bring about every day. But I want to know what you think. Brent said, yeah, segment 1, Kevin's rant. Yeah, sometimes I just got to get that stuff off my chest. 888-589-8840, 888-589-8840. Let's go to Virginia because Peg is there. Peg, welcome. You're on with Kevin McCullough. So glad you're with us.
Hi, Kevin. I want you to know I completely agree with you about the media. It's very disheartening to put on the TV and no matter what channel except for Fox always has the same stories, mostly trash, nothing that's very important. But I wanted your listeners to know that there is one TV station that is covering this live today. They started their coverage last night. That's EWTN out of Alabama.
Okay.
It's a Catholic TV station.
Yes, it is.
It's the Eternal Word Television Network, and they should be seeing their dishes and everything around. I was there last year, and you could see them all over. So in Richmond, Virginia, that comes on cable, channel 291. But if you look in those high levels of your cable, you'll probably find it somewhere, I think.
Yeah. It is a nationally known channel, and I thank you for that, Peg. Yeah, it is. And kudos to them for doing exactly that. And this is another thing that kind of bothers me, but there was a study released yesterday, religious group in America most likely to have sex before marriage, evangelicals. And that now, also contributes to abortion rates and so forth. If it were not for my Catholic friends, there wouldn't really be a pro-life movement in this country, unfortunately. And it is a part of Christian history and tradition since the time of Christ to defend the life of an unborn child. The first pro-life legislation that was signed into law came around 80 AD. This is not a new fight, and it is something that we as if you're a person of faith, we as believers should distinguish ourselves from the rest of the world by. Unfortunately, evangelicals haven't had a lot of influence in that arena up until just the last decade or so. But my Catholic brothers and sisters, they've been faithful at this for a long time. So I'm grateful for them, and I'm grateful that EWTN is carrying the coverage of the event. 888-589-8840. Let's go to Indiana next and speak with William. William, welcome. You're on with Kevin McCullough. So glad you're here.
How you do, sir? I'm 82 years old. I'm doing great. There was a woman by the name of Diane Reedy, Reidi. The day they funded the government again, in October the 16th, she stepped to the microphone and she said, God will not be mocked, and you can't serve two gods. I called my representative, Diane Reedy from Indiana, and they said they put her on executive leave. I've been praying maybe 5-6 times a day for her since then. I was wondering if anybody out there knows, or you do, could find out or knows what happened to her.
Well, who was she, and what did she do?
Her name is Diane Reedy, Reidy. Now, you remember back in October when they funded the government and they put it back in? the Congress funded the government. She stepped to the phone, the microphone, said, "God not be mocked." The whole nation heard her.
Who is she? Is she a congresswoman?
No, she is something like a secretary there in Washington D.C.
I don't know anything about her or what that's about, Bill, and I'm sorry. If I do find out anything, I will report it. Let's go to Tricia in Texas. Tricia, welcome. Glad you're with us. Calvin McCullough, glad to have you.
Oh, glad to be here. I just wanted to say I'm very grateful for those people who are marching on Washington today.
Mm-hmm.
And I also want to say that I am totally against Wendy Davis here in the great state of Texas, and I think it'd be a major blow if she were our next governor. And I have friends who disagree with me, which is a real disappointment because, you know, at our age we should know better. But I really hate the things that are happening in our government.
Tricia, when you, I
Yes.
want to interrupt you there for a second because I'm curious about this because you mentioned your friends. When you talk with them, would you say they hold the same values that you do, your friends?
Yes, which is surprising, but they believe, you know, pro-choice, some of them. I mean, not all of them. I mean, most of them that really do believe.
And when you ask them, well, what does that mean? When you ask your friend, they say, well, I'm pro-choice. What do they say to that
They
that
really
question?
don't have much of an answer except it's not for you and me to decide. It's up to the person who is thinking of abortion, you know, but it's up to them.
So
And
would
I
they
don't
be
know.
okay? Would they be okay with women killing their kids after they've been born?
Absolutely not.
Huh. See,
Yeah.
now what I find curious about that is that there's, you know, the woman trying to make the decision, and let's face it, most of the time it's a man pressing the woman to make the decision. But before the child is born, there's this thing that they talk about. Well, you know, this is going to be a burden to our life. You know, I'm pretty sure that there are a lot of moms that feel like the children after they're born are a burden to their life. And I'm just wondering why people who believe they call themselves pro-choice, I'm wondering why they wouldn't be okay with a mom killing the child after it's born, even up to a certain age, 2, 3, 4, 5 years old, because, you know, they just didn't know that the child was going to require that much work or energy. So they should have the right to live the life the way they want. So why don't we just let them just take the child's life then? I mean, what's in their mind? What's the difference?
Well, I believe that it's all based on what the media is telling them. It's just a blob of matter. It's not the same as a human. And even though they can see that the baby, even at 14 weeks, is fully formed, they choose to ignore that. So, I mean, in their minds, it's probably, you know, it's better now than later. But later, if that comes along, maybe I can just give my child up for adoption. I don't know. But it's strictly, they're totally selfish. They're totally self-centered. They don't believe in what God says. And I think that's all it is. You know, it's just an inconvenience.
Tricia, I think you hit on a very important principle there, and thank you for your call. And stay strong in your state. Wendy Davis says she represents the women of Texas. I have found one woman from Texas right here, right now, that I don't think she represents at all, and I'm proud of you. And stay at it. You got to help her opponent, Mr. Abbott, make sure that she doesn't get elected. Here's the interesting thing about something Tricia said. At the end of the day, they believe the media. There's something selfish about their own life. There's something that they don't like the way it is, so they whatever, fill in the blank. She's exactly right. And friends, most of the greatest evil in this world that has come about because someone wanted something the way they wanted it. I want you to pull the camera lens way back on this and think for a second. But the root of nearly every sin that is committed is an abject loyalty to one's selfishness. Nearly every immoral act that's done is done because it's something that I want. And what I want should be more important than what anybody else wants. What I want should be way more important than, you know, what my child wants. The media has sold us this lie that until we serve ourselves, we will never be happy. I find just the opposite to be true. I find that when you serve others, you find your greatest amount of happiness. I find that generally serving yourself, you end up in many of the wrong places. Almost every time. 888-589-8840. One other thought on this. I've been talking since the beginning of the year about Pray 2014. I've asked you to join me in praying for our nation. Pray2014.com is where we are committing ourselves, you and me together, forming a focus for that week. This week's focus is, if you are heartbroken, seek Him. Friends, today, this might be the kind of day when women who've had an abortion feel emotional heartbreak. When they come to the realization that there's been something that they valued about themselves as more important than what others needed, there may be some disappointment there. You may have a chance to speak into their life today, but when heartbroken, seek God. If you are heartbroken today, pray that God will deal with that heartbreak in a way that is fruitful for your life. And by fruitful, I mean not just that He takes it away, but that He gives you some sort of purpose to replace it with. Heartbreak doesn't go away in a vacuum. If you're sad, most of the time, you just stay sad until you decide to do something other than be sad. And for the believer, there's even a more powerful thing, because when you decide to proactively serve someone else, you're sad. You're dealing with your sad. You're heartbroken. Your spouse has walked out on you. Someone has betrayed you. Someone has denied you. Someone has hurt you in some way. You turn that around and you serve someone else in the midst of that pain. God sees that. He rewards you for that. You cannot outserve God. If you are serving others, God will serve you. If you are giving to others, God will give to you. If you are loving others, God will love you. It's when we stay internal. It's when we stay focused on us. It's when we stay turned in that life gets worse. Think outward. Think forward. Lean forward. Pay forward. Whatever the catchphrase is that you need. But be others-oriented in the name of Jesus. Your heartbreak won't be erased, but God will give you great contentment to deal with it in the meantime. When heartbroken, seek Him. That's our prayer focus for Pray2014.com. If you haven't done it yet, join us. Every Monday we let that focus out, and we're going to pray through this year together. We're on week 3, and it's already been so exciting. It's just been really encouraging to see the number of people that are responding to this. All right, coming up in just a couple of minutes, Lila Rose is going to join us live from the March for Life. But let me take another couple of calls before we take that break. And let's go to Catherine in Virginia. Hi, Catherine. Welcome. You're on with Kevin McCullough. Glad you're here.
Hi, Kevin. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking.
Okay. The reason I feel like I can speak out on this because I've been there and done that. And let me tell women of today's world that you don't want to do this. I was told out of sight, out of mind, but that's not the case. As you get older, you wonder, what if, what was, what could have been? And if we want God to bless us, we have to bless Him. You can choose God's word or you can choose the enemy's, because Satan loves secrets. He definitely loves it. And because I've been through this, and I'm such a person, I have to learn the hard way, unfortunately. And what I do for a living, I am with a lot of people. And if we can't depend on the media, we can depend upon ourselves and the church is the people. And when people come in and say they've heard thus and so, I can say, been there, done that. Let me tell you the ramifications for what has happened here. And to share this with people, we can't depend on the media. And who runs the media? When they're getting paid by someone, a lot of people tell me, I get paid to do it, and that's what I have to do to get paid. It's not like if they're going to cut 3 fingers off your right hand, are you going to still do it? You've got to give up something somewhere down the line, and thank goodness for the things that have happened to me, because I do have the opportunity to speak out and saying, I know what that is, and honey, you don't want to go there and do that.
All right. Catherine, thank you for sharing, and I just pray that you continue to be blessed in the opportunities that God gives you. Let's go to Bill in Alabama before our next break. Hi, Bill. Welcome.
Bill in Alabama before our next break. Hi, Bill. Welcome.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kevin,
Yes, sir.
I just tuned in to you today, I reckon, unless I heard you this morning in my car. I'm at home on my radio now. But I wanted to mention this to you, and then I'll tell you my religious story. I heard this guy this morning on the news, and he was ranting and raving because the Democrat governor in New York didn't plow the streets where most Republicans live. And he said that was a payback, see? But the media is not going to care that. The other thing I wanted to tell you is that I can only find happiness in my local church because the television ministries, to me, is nothing but a sham.
Well, that may, in fact, be true, Bill, and that's another story for another day. Thanks for sharing. 888-589-8840. More of your calls when we continue. And also, we expect to be joined by Lila Rose live from the March for Life. Stay with us here, Kevin McCullough, on AFA Today on AFR Talk.